What should have been one of the happiest moments in BLACKPINK history is suddenly turning into one of the most talked about controversies surrounding the group. 10 years. A full decade since Jisoo, Jennie, Rosé, and Lisa stepped onto the K-pop scene and became one of the biggest girl groups on the planet. For millions of Blinks, their 10th anniversary should have been simple. For members, one stage, one celebration, and a huge reminder of everything they achieved together. But instead, fans were left confused, then frustrated, and eventually, some began asking a question that sounded almost unthinkable. Is BLACKPINK really still functioning as a group the way fans expected? The anniversary controversy began with something that seemed relatively harmless: the lack of a major, clearly announced OT for celebration. Fans had hoped for something unforgettable. Maybe a special live broadcast. Maybe a major comeback announcement. Maybe an anniversary performance featuring all 4 members. Instead, the information coming from the official side felt vague. And when fans noticed wording suggesting that attendance would depend on the members' individual schedules, the reaction was immediate. Because this wasn't just another BLACKPINK event. This was supposed to be their 10th anniversary. And suddenly, people weren't talking about celebration. They were talking about commitment. Some fans began arguing that the 4 members appeared increasingly focused on their individual careers. Others pushed back, reminding everyone that Jisoo, Jennie, Rosé, and Lisa are now global stars with completely different schedules, projects, partnerships, and professional commitments. But then the situation became even more confusing. Reports began circulating that Lisa might not attend the anniversary event because of scheduling conflicts. And that was the moment social media exploded. The possibility of a 3-member anniversary appearance was enough to reignite every fear that had been building among fans for months. If even the group's 10th anniversary couldn't bring all 4 members together, what exactly did that say about BLACKPINK's future? Of course, it is important to separate confirmed information from online speculation. There is no basis here to declare that BLACKPINK is breaking up simply because of scheduling problems. But the reaction from fans tells us something important. People are nervous. And that nervousness didn't come from nowhere. After the members renewed their group contracts in 2023 while continuing their individual careers separately, many fans expected the next chapter of BLACKPINK to balance both worlds, solo freedom and stronger group activities. Instead, group activity remained something fans had to wait for. That created a very complicated emotional situation. On one side, fans wanted the members to succeed individually. They wanted Jennie to explore her own artistic direction. They wanted Rosé to continue developing as a solo artist. They wanted Lisa to expand her global career. They wanted Jisoo to pursue acting, music, and her own projects. But on the other side was BLACKPINK, the group that brought them together in the first place. And when group activities become less frequent, fans naturally begin asking whether the balance has shifted too far toward the solo careers. That is where the anniversary controversy became much bigger than one event. Then came the clarification. YG Entertainment reportedly confirmed that all 4 members would attend the anniversary event after adjusting their individual schedules. For many Blinks, that was a huge relief. The nightmare scenario of an incomplete anniversary celebration appeared to disappear. But strangely enough, the confirmation didn't completely end the controversy. Instead, it created another question. Why did it become this complicated in the first place? According to the materials surrounding the controversy, the original communication created uncertainty about whether every member would actually be available. And once that uncertainty reached social media, the rumor cycle moved faster than the official clarification. One report said one thing. Fans reacted. Another clarification followed. Fans reacted again. And suddenly, an anniversary that should have been about BLACKPINK's achievements was dominated by questions about schedules, attendance, planning, and management. Then came the report that changed the entire conversation. Dispatch reportedly offered a behind-the-scenes look at the preparation process and claimed that the anniversary event had been organized under significant time pressure. If accurate, that would explain why the rollout felt so chaotic. According to the report, YG had been working around the members' packed individual schedules, while the final arrangements allegedly came together much later than fans expected. And here's where things get especially interesting. Dispatch reportedly claimed that 2 members decided to participate later in the planning process, forcing the other members to adjust their schedules so that all 4 could eventually attend. The report did not identify which members were involved. And that detail matters, because without knowing who is being referenced, fans should be extremely careful about turning an anonymous scheduling claim into a personal accusation against any individual member. Still, the broader picture was enough to spark another debate. If 4 members at the absolute top of the entertainment industry have increasingly independent careers, just how difficult has it become to coordinate BLACKPINK? Think about what their lives look like now. They're not simply 4 idols waiting for a group schedule. They're global entertainers with solo music, acting projects, fashion commitments, brand relationships, international appearances, and their own creative ambitions. Getting all 4 together isn't necessarily as easy as it was years ago. But that also creates a difficult question for YG. If the anniversary was known to be approaching, shouldn't the planning have started much earlier? That is exactly where much of the criticism shifted. At first, fans were angry with the members. Then, after the reports surrounding the planning process emerged, much of that anger moved toward the company. And suddenly, the story wasn't necessarily, BLACKPINK doesn't care about BLACKPINK. Instead, it became, why does the management of BLACKPINK look so disorganized? That's a very different accusation. And it is one that fans have been making for years whenever group activities slow down. The venue reportedly created another layer of complexity. The event was expected to take place at the National Museum of Korea, but according to the report, organizers were still working through the exact location and logistical arrangements. That's understandable when you're dealing with a high-profile group and a major public venue. But again, the timing raised eyebrows. A BLACKPINK anniversary event isn't an ordinary fan gathering. You're dealing with one of the most recognizable groups in the world. Security, crowd control, media, fans, public visitors, scheduling, production. Every detail matters. So when fans hear that important decisions are still being worked out close to the event, it naturally creates the impression that something went wrong behind the scenes. But there's another side to this story. The same reports that made fans criticize the planning also gave supporters a reason to defend the members. Because if the members really did rearrange packed schedules to make the anniversary happen together, that could actually be viewed as evidence that BLACKPINK still matters deeply to them. Think about that for a moment. For artists pursuing increasingly independent careers could have simply accepted that their schedules didn't line up. Instead, according to the reports, adjustments were made. And eventually, the group was confirmed to appear together. So perhaps the real story isn't that BLACKPINK is falling apart. Perhaps the story is that BLACKPINK has entered a completely different era. An era where being a group is no longer the only thing defining each member. And that transition is naturally going to be uncomfortable for fans who remember the early years. Because BLACKPINK's identity was built around the 4 of them together.
Jisoo, Jennie, Rosé, Lisa.
For names that became almost inseparable. For years, seeing one without the others in a major BLACKPINK context was unusual. Now, their solo careers are so powerful that each member can command headlines independently. That's an incredible achievement, but it creates a paradox. The more successful the members become individually, the harder it can become to make their schedules work collectively. And that could be the real tension behind this anniversary. Not necessarily a secret breakup. Not necessarily a feud. Not necessarily one member abandoning the group. But simply the reality that BLACKPINK has become bigger, busier, and more complicated than ever before. Still, Fans aren't wrong to want clarity. If BLACKPINK's future is going to involve fewer group activities, but bigger, more meaningful reunions, then fans deserve to understand that. If the group is going to prioritize major projects rather than constant promotions, that can be communicated. But uncertainty is what creates panic. And social media thrives on panic. A vague announcement can become a rumor. A rumor can become a headline. A headline can become a supposed crisis. And suddenly, millions of people are discussing the group's future based on information that was never fully confirmed. That's exactly why this anniversary situation became so explosive. 1 minute fans were asking what BLACKPINK would do for their 10th anniversary. The next minute, people were debating whether the group should even continue. Some fans reportedly went as far as suggesting that an official disbandment would be better than keeping BLACKPINK inactive for long periods. That's a dramatic reaction. But it reveals how emotionally invested fans are. They don't necessarily want BLACKPINK to disappear. They want to know what BLACKPINK is going to be. Because there is a huge difference between a group that is inactive because it is quietly ending and a group that is simply operating on a different schedule. And right now, based on the material surrounding this controversy, we cannot responsibly say that BLACKPINK is breaking up. In fact, the confirmation that all 4 members will attend the anniversary event points in the opposite direction. The 4 are still capable of coming together. They're still willing to adjust schedules. And they're still connected to the BLACKPINK identity. But the controversy has exposed something that cannot simply be ignored. The old BLACKPINK model may be changing. The days when every major move revolved around group promotions may be over. The members have their own ambitions now. And fans are going to have to decide whether they can accept a BLACKPINK that operates differently from the BLACKPINK they first fell in love with. That doesn't automatically make the group weaker. Sometimes scarcity can make a group event feel even more significant. If the members spend more time apart professionally, then seeing all 4 together can become a major occasion. And perhaps that's what this 10th anniversary should ultimately be about. Not whether every detail was perfectly planned. Not whether one report caused panic. Not whether a vague announcement created another social media argument. But the fact that 4 young women who debuted together a decade ago built something enormous. 10 years later, they're still being talked about. Still generating headlines. Still capable of sending millions of fans into a frenzy over one event. And that alone says something about their impact. But the questions aren't going away. Will BLACKPINK return with another major group project? Will the members continue balancing solo careers with group activities? Will YG become better at communicating those plans? And most importantly, can BLACKPINK remain BLACKPINK when all 4 members are building worlds of their own? That's the question fans are really asking. Because the anniversary controversy may disappear once the celebration happens. The rumors may fade. The social media arguments may move on to another story. But the larger issue will remain. BLACKPINK is entering its 2nd decade. And the 2nd decade may look nothing like the first. Maybe that's not the beginning of the end. Maybe it's the beginning of a new chapter. One where the 4 members don't have to choose between being individual stars and being BLACKPINK. One where group activities happen when the timing is right, but when they do happen, they mean something. For now, though, the biggest takeaway is simple. The rumors about one member being absent created panic. YG's clarification confirmed that all 4 are expected to attend. Reports about last-minute planning shifted criticism toward management. And the entire controversy has reminded everyone just how much fans still care about BLACKPINK as a group. So before anyone declares that BLACKPINK is finished, it may be worth waiting for the members themselves to show us what comes next. Because after 10 years, this story doesn't look like it's ending just yet. It looks like BLACKPINK is standing at a crossroads. For members, for solo careers, one legendary group, and an entire fandom waiting to see which direction they choose. The 10th anniversary was supposed to answer questions about BLACKPINK's future. Instead, it may have created even more. And perhaps that's why everyone is watching. Because whatever happens next, the next chapter of Blackpink could be very different from anything we've seen before. What do you think? Is Blackpink simply entering a new era where solo careers and group activities coexist differently? Or do you believe the growing distance between their individual schedules is a warning sign for the group's future? Let us know your thoughts. And remember, until the members themselves make something official, rumors are still just rumors. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more Blackpink and K-pop news.